Hello, beautiful angels. It's such an amazing honor to be here with you today. Let me know if the audio is okay. I've never done an event from where we are today, so I hope the Wi-Fi is working well. Okay, great. And just let me know. I always look at the chat. So today, a day on planet Earth in the arms of the mother, awakening from a very long sleep with her into her. We are awakening with our beloved Mother Earth, but also our mother, Shekinah, Sophia, Shakti, into more consciousness, reconnecting to the web of love and life in this beautiful cosmos. It's very moving, and the process, as you can tell, is not easy, and there's a lot going on in the world, but what is happening within us is so beautiful. And so today we will be tapping into what is truly happening within us so that we can actually emanate that into this world and assist with this process of expansion. And I have a presentation here for you because that's the way I enjoy teaching. I've been trying to create a little overview of all the things that Divine Mother has been sharing in this lifetime. But I will start with a 4-minute video that I made in 2020. And this video is a message from our cosmic Mother Nature. And I worked with a very talented voice artist in Canada, and we co-created this beautiful video. So I will share that with you.
You ask me how to love life. There are always enough reasons to feel exuberant joy about the gift of being alive. Look at the trees dancing with their crowns of leaves in the gentle breeze. Look at the clouds joyfully floating across the sky. Look at the fish in their loving oneness with Mother Water. Look at the sun giving its fullness to all life. You are never alone. The air that surrounds you and enters you is filled with love. You are always being kissed by life. In the midst of nature's alchemy, you are held with love. Reciprocate, connect with the beauty that surrounds you. When you look outside yourself, you will find so much to fall in love with. When you fall in love with creation, you are on a fast track to fall in love with me. See me in all life. I am your mother, mother of life. Your adoration for nature will open your heart. Feel the tenderness in all life. Watch flowers basking in golden sunshine. Listen to birds proudly singing their song of adoration, each and every one to themselves. Be who you were created to be. Do your best at just being one of them. One with the flowers, one with the trees, one with the creatures, one with the earth. Nature holds a key to our hearts. Our hearts open when nature touches us with her tenderness. When we start seeing the gentle soul behind the eyes of a cow, pig, sheep, or a goat, we will start awakening to our own soul. When your heart is full of love, you do not exclude anything and anyone from your gift of love. Love and nature embrace each other as two inseparable soulmates. When you desire to find more love, fall in love with nature. She is the gateway to all that you have been seeking for. Human lives without a thriving relationship with nature become complicated, and their suffering is endless and unresolvable. The way out is the way into the arms of the mother. When you seek an answer, just step outside, greet the sun, smile at the sky, make a wish, kiss a tree, caress a flower, giggle with a bee, listen to the wings of a hummingbird. That is your answer. She always knows. When you feel empty, go outside the self. Go to nature. Forget the self. The self is too full of you. That causes the paradoxical emptiness. The only fulfillment comes from a full heart, and the heart is designed to be full in the presence of nature. Let's return to our adoration for nature. Let's rebuild the relationship we thought we could live without. She is patient. Her arms are always held in a wide embrace around us. Even when we reject and diminish her, she hides in the soil beneath our feet. She is always ready to restore us and to be restored. Her love never ends. We are a species hungry for love. Some seek for love in others in external things or goals. But love is the energy of life itself that awakens in our hearts when we surrender to nature, to our nature. Let her love carry us into fullness and fulfillment. Be empty in nature's arms, she will fulfill you. Her love spills over your brims. Nature does not create separation. She is the ultimate embodiment of unity. Duality ceases to exist in nature. All exists unified in the body of the mother. The entire cosmos is unified as one within her. There is no ugly, there is only beautiful. Nature is just beyond all dualities. Welcome home, my dear child.
So you can find this video on our YouTube channel. And you know, when I knew that Divine Mother wanted us to teach today about her. And I woke up early in the morning because usually the messages come the night before. And so many messages came the night before. And the most important message was that the whole message is actually contained in this 4-minute video. And so I always say, you know, I can tell you many stories about Divine Mother, and surely you can tell me many stories that you have also, since it is the same mother for all of us. But I'll tell my stories and hopefully they will inspire us. So with Divine Mother, I say, you know, she comes in many different forms, and to some of us, she comes in a very physical form. She can come in our meditations. So it really depends on, I guess, how much we meditate. And so I will share what I have learned from her. And I say I met her in a physical form in 2017, I think that was. And before then, she came in, I would say, kind of the non-physical form, sometimes as a voice, sometimes as light. But since 2017, she's been coming in a physical body. And that's, you know, how she manifests to us mystics. And so what I have learned from her is we do have an amazing cosmic mother. Sometimes I call her Divine Mother, but lately for about a year, I've been calling her our cosmic mother nature. And this is a beautiful image that Yogananda and his lineage of Babaji and Christ use. And you see this beautiful Adi Shakti, and behind her is the cosmos. You see the planets, you see the stars, you see the galaxies, and that's pretty much how large our mother is. And because we call her the cosmic mother nature, as you know, every single being in creation, even if it starts with, let's say, a rock, a tree, a planet, a star, the sun, you, your body, everything has this amazing consciousness, and it is intelligent. And so the creative consciousness, the intelligence behind all things, is what we would call nature. And I always say Divine Mother is kind of hiding in the plain sight. And one way to explain it is that, you know, we look at a tree and we might not see the intelligence in it. We might look at our own body and we might not see that cosmic intelligence in it. We might look at a planet and we might not see an intelligent cosmic being. But because cosmic mother nature is the entire cosmos, she is the manifested creation that we would call nature, then her body is really fractalized into all that we know to be nature. And so, as it is with fractals, she is within all of us, she is in all life, she is in all nature, and we have to really expand our consciousness to understand how big she is. So when we understand that she is in all life, then kind of she's playing hide and seek with us. Because a lot of people look at this earth and they don't see the cosmic mother nature, and that's why our civilization, as you can imagine, have, you know, exploited the earth and nature. And that's why we have a lot of people on this planet who don't feel the oneness with the mystery. And that's why we also have religions which have disconnected people from this intelligence. And I tell you why. We used to have the pagan religions or druids, and those were the people or humans who communicated directly with the divine in nature. Of course, all our native people, Aboriginal people across the world, they knew that if only they can attune themselves to the intelligence within nature, then they will know it all. And that's why we had civilizations that were able to understand cosmos, because they attuned to the intelligent voice within the earth, within the stars, and they didn't need technology to do it. They did it through consciousness. And so we have now witnessed a civilization for many thousands of years that disconnected from the intelligent voice of Mother Nature. And this is really what I would say is our fall, that, we sometimes hear the fall from grace, It really is a fall from grace, because grace is our cosmic Mother Nature. She is grace. And so it's maybe very complicated, but maybe very simple. When any civilization in this cosmos, as you know, there are so many beings, when any of them disconnect from the intelligent flow, the Tao, the river, the life force in nature, they disconnect from natural ways of being. And when these beings, humans, civilizations, no matter where they are, when they disconnect from the natural flow, they disconnect from knowing, they disconnect from understanding, they disconnect from living the right way. And there is a way to live the right way, and that is the way of nature. Now, when I started to share these messages, because I met many different forms of the mother, but mainly my information comes what I would call the cosmic Mother Nature, but also she appeared also as the green Tara. And this is pretty much what she looked like when she appeared. And yet I also worked with an artist in Sri Lanka who made this beautiful green Tara for me with her rainbow body. So however we see her, but this is basically what she appeared as. So when I started to share this knowledge that was given, and I don't want to say to me, because I don't want to be making this about, me or I want to make it about us and we, because the only way that the mother works is us and we. There is only one cosmic Mother Nature, and we all are within her. We cannot be outside of her. And so whether we are a good apple, bad apple, no apple yet, whether we are a seed that is still learning to survive, we are always within the same body, which is the cosmic I am. And so the green Tara, when I started to share her knowledge about nature and about life, some people, even mystics, felt that I was telling people to go back to nature and to be primitive. And that is the misunderstanding of the teaching, actually, because the return to the intelligence of nature is not to become primitive, it is to actually become intelligent. It is actually to become so super conscious, so super intelligent, and it is an evolutionary step for us. We have gone through devolution, which is the disconnect from nature, and not only humanity disconnected from her, but you can imagine when the whole planet is suffering from this unconsciousness, that the whole planet herself kind of disconnects too. And so the teachings today are about reconnection. They are about reconnecting to nature, and it can be as simple as going outside every day in a conscious, connective way, which means a relationship. I will teach as much as possible today. It's more like an overview because there's a lot over the years. But again, the green Tara, and that's, I started to call the group that we work with the green Tara. But, you can call her whatever names you want. There is a divine mother, and the divine mother, as a creative being, she works with source light, and source light always emanates as rainbow. And here is one photo which you will find in the book of 33 codes, which is the book that kind of our team co-created as service to this expansion that some of us can also call ascension. And so this was a photo of the sky, and there's nothing altered about it. This is how I see the rainbow serpent, the rainbow dragon, that she appears. And that is because rainbow, and little kids, they love drawing rainbows for a reason, because from source, which is the 0 point, when light emanates out into creation, it splits into this beautiful fractalization of light, and it turns into what we consider to be rainbow. And so rainbows are very sacred to us. Rainbow is really also the energy of the original creation on planet Earth, and that is Mu. And for those of you who existed in Mu, have memories of Mu, you remember it was all about the rainbow light flowing through us freely and us knowing how to work with it. So again, everything in nature has a meaning. It is creation that has manifested, and we can observe nature, whatever we decide to observe, whether it is the ocean, the sky, the sun, the earth, we will always find amazing answers. And the deeper we go into this connection, the more answers we find. So when our beloved Divine Mother started to deliver these teachings, she started with the small, and that was something like the dragonfly. And I always say, when you see a dragonfly, it is not just a dragonfly, as nothing in nature is just it always is, again, a representation, a fractal of our Divine Mother, our cosmic Mother Nature. And, in this society, once again, I want to say, people laugh at us when we go and communicate with nature. And very often they laugh at people who hug trees. And yet nothing could actually be more logical and intelligent than going to communicate with nature and truly to commune with her and learn from her. I find it so much more intelligent than sitting in a church and, praying to an invisible God that is in the sky. So to me, nature is the church. She is really the priestess that surrounds us and has all the amazing sacred knowledge. And simply by communicating, just like, let's say, the pagans may be dead. Oh, I don't know much about these traditions, but I imagine that all our native people communicated with nature, and they didn't do it as something where there would be no response. They did it because it's part of our true divine nature. Nature is divine, and the ultimate divinity is embodied in this nature. So you find that the first lessons maybe from Divine Mother are about the geometries of creation, and that she uses geometry, and I call her a mathematician, and I call her many different things, like divine scientist. She's a chemist, she's a physicist. She embodies all the laws that we know to be science. So Divine Mother to me is an amazing scientist and also, of course, a mystic. So the combination of the two is really important. She is the ultimate scientist, but also she is the ultimate mystic. And so whatever you find in nature will contain incredible science, geometry, and you will also find, of course, the adventure of biology, which is our evolution through DNA, but also you will find the mystical meaning behind all things. And so the first thing that Divine Mother had me do was to communicate with her embodiment as a dragonfly. And I always say, it could sound like a little fun thing to do, but actually, if you really go deep within this knowledge, you will find very deep enlightenment. This is the science of mysticism. This is what all the mystics, all the yogis have been teaching us, and that is really, I would call it the science of enlightenment. No matter how small we start, it actually ends up being the biggest adventure you can possibly imagine. So I personally always work with inner teachers, so teachers who are on the inner planes. And one of my most important teachers has been Yogananda, But also when you are done with a certain, journey with an inner teacher, for me, that was 2 years with Yogananda, then a new teacher will call you. And it really depends on whatever lessons we need to learn in the inner planes. But I also worked with an amazing inner teacher, and his name was Sri Kaleshwar. Maybe some of you know him. So Sri Kaleshwar, he left his body a really long time, not so long ago, I think maybe in the 80s. I don't know. I didn't know him when he was in the body, but he came on the inner planes. And so I was able to get this amazing sacred scroll from the lineage of Sri Kaleshwar. What these teachers have in common is that they absolutely worshipped Divine Mother. And for example, if you are a yogi, we have many different traditions that of course worship Divine Mother. And worship might sound like there is no relationship, but actually I would say they have a direct relationship with Divine Mother. And this is an amazing, amazing ancient really scroll that depicts the cosmic Mother Nature. And what you will find is really fascinating. Not only do you see her body depicted this way, and then when we, let's say, look with microscope inside, small molecules of nature, you will find that this same shape is actually contained within nature herself. I forgot to find an image for that, but you can Google that. So this is how the yogis of the lineage of Sri Kaleshwar depicted our cosmic Mother Nature. So there's a lot going on. But why I actually pulled up this image is because last night when Divine Mother knew that I would be teaching this class, because she really wanted to do that today, and I tell you why, she kept asking me to remember to put this in because she wanted to be looking at us this way. Now, we daily, many of us meet and we do a lot of work in service to Divine Mother. And lately she's been saying it's really important to speak about her, to share whatever experiences we have with her, you and me and everyone in this world, to teach about her and to help those who have forgotten her to remember, because she is the one who actually has come back into this world. So once upon a time, the world fell from grace, and that was the disconnect from cosmic Mother Nature. But she is back, and that's why we've seen so many changes the last 3 years mainly. So I love looking for art that can depict our cosmic Mother Nature in other creative ways, and I found this Australian artist. The name is at the bottom. I usually try to put the artist's name at the bottom so that we can purchase the artwork if we love it. And this is another wonderful way to describe our cosmic Mother Nature, which very much reminds me of what we have just seen, but in color. So within the Mother is all of nature, all 5 elements. And Divine Mother uses all 5 elements to create worlds. We are not the only world, but plus we are part of a much, much larger world. And one thing that you will see quite a bit in these presentations is the rainbow serpent of creation. And that's something that I will speak about today as well. And that's why, for example, here Divine Mother appeared as the rainbow dragon in the sky. Mystics always could see the rainbow light flowing through us. And what it is that from source, once again, light is emanating, and as it emanates, it turns into the spectrum that we perceive as rainbow. So we might perceive it as 7 colors, but actually it could also be a multi-dimensional spectrum of 12 colors. But again, it doesn't really matter how we perceive it. Everyone has different ways of perceiving. But so that we understand why rainbow and why actually we are designed to be rainbow beings of light, and how we disconnected from the original design that we had in Mu. So our cosmic Mother Nature is, I would say, this ecstatic creator, creating, and all of creation requires life force. Life force is energy. Without energy, there is no creation. Without life force, there is no nature. Without life force, there is no cosmos. And so this is a really important understanding. Is it not, you cannot see it full screen. I'm trying to share as much full screen as possible. Is it visible? And I will definitely post it on YouTube as well as I'm recording this. So understanding life force is really the second most important thing we can do. Number one is understanding that we are part of cosmic nature. This nature can be as minuscule as our cell that contains DNA, or it can be as large as cosmos. Now, this is the number one shift in our perception to cosmic understanding, to cosmic beings, to cosmic consciousness. And for those mystics who activate the full-blown, let's call it Kundalini, just because we understand that, when we activate this life force within our own bodies, within our own consciousness, we actually completely transcend all limitations that we might call human, and we become cosmic beings. Our consciousness expands into the same vastness as cosmos. As unimaginable as it actually is possible, and you and me can absolutely do that. And we usually use meditation, Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, or whatever practices we have. Also very shamanic dancing and chanting. So again, whatever calls you will be your path. But for me, I found that working with deep meditations and with Kriya Yoga, which is the yoga of Babaji, and it is not yoga where we move so much, we definitely stretch, but it's more internal. So it leads to this amazing expansion. So it's definitely worth it to be in an extended state. So now this is the number one thing. And the number two thing is life force. So understanding that we are cosmic beings and that we live in cosmos, and that everything in creation requires life force, the rainbow serpent of creation. Now, what is life? When I started to work with Divine Mother and every day received so many wonderful lessons from her, I asked her one day, what am I going to do with all of this? And she said, just teach people how to love life. And I mention that very often because she said, if you tell someone, I'll teach you about Divine Mother, the person might not feel that Divine Mother is something they want to learn about. But she said, if you call me life with a capital L, everyone should know about life with a capital L. And so that's one way to take this beyond any religions, is to simply teach about how life works. And so the first thing was paying attention to the geometries within life, because it attunes your own consciousness. This is a mystery school that Divine Mother takes us through. Every single step, no matter how small, is actually absolutely important. So for example, even if you sit down outside and you will start attuning your consciousness to something as small as dragonflies, you will start receiving cosmic understanding of things. And it doesn't come through the logical mind. It comes through the intuitive heart. And the intuitive heart, we have many names for it, the energetic heart, the high heart, the sacred heart, the Christed heart, is actually the one who reads nature and who understands this nature. So again, a very small, let's say, tool that can be absolutely the most life-changing tool that Divine Mother has ever given us. And that is going outside several times a day barefoot and grounding and earthing. But to her, it doesn't really, like I called it right now grounding, but it actually is not grounding. I would call it something else. This is how we receive information from the earth. It is by connecting our magnetic field to her magnetic field. Like two magnets, when we don't have shoes in the way, normally the energy doesn't flow through a shoe, but it can flow when we are barefoot. To me, this is how most of our planetary knowledge, which is divine knowledge, which is the grand mystical knowledge, is actually uploaded into us. And every single day, the magnetic sphere of the earth might be different, because we have so much solar energy sending also solar codes. And as the magnetic sphere of the earth changes, our bodies are designed to change with her. And if we don't go and align with her, then we are out of alignment, which can lead to fatigue, to not feeling well, to feeling simply disconnected. So the most important step number 2 that Divine Mother taught me. So the first one was communicating and learning with the dragonflies. But the second thing was every single day to go and plant our body outside into the earth herself. And I find that if you can do it, even if you are in a city, just go to a park. If you have a backyard, that's wonderful, because then you can spend a lot of time in nature, no matter how cold it is, always at least a few minutes a day. But if you can do it several times a day, that is absolutely ideal. And of course, night and day. So go in the morning at sunrise when we have such amazing solar codes coming, but also to go in the evening or at night before going to bed, to align once again, and to align when the stars are shining upon us, to align when the sun is rising, to align when the sun is setting. Those are very powerful moments. So, for example, when you travel, also find a place to go and just stand outside for a few minutes, because every day your body needs to align with these big changes we're going through. The earth herself is absolutely, a body. And just like you have a physical body, you have energetic body. The earth has an energetic body. So I try to go where there is no cement or tile, but to go on grass, to go on rocks, to stand in a puddle if you want to connect even deeper with the element of water. Whatever you can do, find a little patch of real earth. So now, when we plug the two systems together, your energetic system with the energetic system of the earth, you are uploading not only the planetary energy, you are uploading all the cosmic energy that the earth actually receives every single day. And we will also speak about how the earth receives in every moment different cosmic, galactic, universal energies. And these are all evolutionary energies. And when we can go outside, and I say, Divine Mother has very simple teachings. And so a lot of people can kind of, say, oh, it's too simple. I need very elaborate techniques. And she said, why make it complicated when it is so simple? So I've been doing this since she told me to do in 2017, and every single day, no matter what, going outside, and many times a day if possible, to be outside and just be in a sacred, communion with her. And you can imagine how much knowledge you can receive by attuning to her. You will start hearing and feeling and seeing and knowing. And what happens next, that you might actually be connecting with the elemental queendom of her body as well. And you might get visitations from the elementals. And everything that I'm sharing with you is what I experienced. And it all just comes from these simple ways. And so the simple way is, can we become as empty as possible so that she can fill us up? And that is another important teaching from Divine Mother. Just like in the video, when we are too full of the self, there is no room for the divine to come in and really fill us up. And when we can go outside like a child, like hopefully you grew up in a place where you were still running around as a child outside instead of sitting, behind some iPhones and iPads. So that is how our civilization disconnected. And we have to make sure, when we are parents, grandparents, we have to make sure, and educators of course, that our children and our next generation, which is always the most precious generation, it's always the incoming babies, they are the most precious. They are much more upgraded than we are. It always works this way. We get upgrades with babies coming in. And so those are our teachers, and we cannot, limit them to our old dysfunctional ways. The dysfunctional ways of our civilization is when we disconnect from nature. And so we have to make sure these kids go outside and play as much as possible away from actually technology, because technology can be used, of course, and I have seen civilizations in this cosmos that use technology. but they only create technology that is fully aligned with the intelligence contained in nature. So what they do, they mimic nature, and all their technology is used for the good, which means expanding our connection with nature. And so that's something really important. When we can go outside and get this information, when we release the full self and we are like a child, empty and playful, she can fill us up. And you know, she used to do it when we were little. And she is actually that life force that was flowing through us mainly when we were little. But I think it's really funny because, you know, now, let's say, you know, maybe we've been here for decades on this planet. So what happens actually when most people have been here in a body for decades? They disconnect from the original flow of nature. And that's all it is. And then we have to come up with all these complicated spiritual techniques to just find a little bit of aliveness in the body again, in the consciousness, to restore the flow. So it's really simple if we understand the simplicity and also the greatness of all of this. If only we could again restore the flow of nature. As the most divine intelligence in our cosmos, we would be enlightened, because this is enlightenment. It is the amazing openness to life force. When we connect to every element and allow it to be purified within the body as well, then we achieve mastery. I love working with the Thoth tarot cards that were created by Aleister Crowley. And it was Lady Frida, I think it was the artist, who created this amazing mystical journey through the 22 archetypes. And this is the high priest. And what you see in the high priest is not only that the high priest is connected to heavens, to the guardians of this universe, and that high priest has Isis within himself, but also the high priest is connected to the magical child in the heart, which is the sacred heart, the high heart, you know, all the names we have for it, Christed heart. And you see it's a 5-pointed star. And we have 5 elements of creation, and Divine Mother uses 5 elements to create. It is the element of water, fire, earth, air, and ether. Now, this is all we need to know about life. If we can balance the 5 elements within, which I think maybe in Qigong and you know, all these Ayurveda, also it's balancing elements within our own body, because it balances the elements within our own consciousness. So again, it all is very simple. How can we balance our relationship with nature within and without? And that is the key. Again, you know, when you teach this, and I hope you can teach this to everyone that is interested in actually achieving this higher state of consciousness, which is very mystical. The mystery is so fascinating. It is simple and yet complicated. There are dichotomies within creation, but it's hiding, as you can tell, in our plain sight. And that is so fun because it's everywhere. It's right here in you right now. It's all around you right here in you now. And so balancing the 5 elements within us actually balances our consciousness, and we become the high priestess, the high priest. That also means it restores the Venetian aspect within us, with Venus being the morning star that is so connected to the earth and the origin of life on planet Earth. And so when we balance with the Venetian energies, we balance with love, with creativity, with our angelic design, and we are to be the angelic humanes. And so right now, maybe in the world we see war. War, without a doubt, is an expression of absolutely distorted relationship with nature. Because our relationship with nature, when it is balanced, is always a relationship of goodwill and love. That is the design. It is the design of creative, joyful, thriving for all, and not what we see in the world right now. So we'll speak about that as well, because it's really important as it is happening right now in this world. Divine Mother sees the greatest saints on planet Earth to be our children. And that is because the children are coming with beautiful coding in their DNA. And this coding is for us to be treasured and learn from, and not to be diminished. Personally, from what I have seen with Divine Mother, children to her are truly the way showers. They are someone we need to listen to. And she told me that there were civilizations that would just sit around children and listen to them. So the elders would be learning from the children, because the children still contain information that they brought with them, and we need to listen. And so once again, in this world, just so that we understand what happened, is that we stopped kind of honoring our children. And instead, we wanted to teach them about the world as we knew it. And instead, we should have been learning from them about the world that they see, and to maintain this beautiful innocence. And not just innocence, it is also the joy, the creativity. And so you can imagine, in this world, we had a force, which is called the opposing force, which wanted to kind of kill the creative joy in all children by putting them into the schools where they are not moving, they are just to pay attention to something instead of running around nature and learning from her, bonding with her. So the future is return to nature, and that means returning our children to nature as well in all ways. In the end, what it comes down to is understanding that as long as this energy doesn't fully flow through us, we are still asleep. And it is only through awakening of this life force within that we wake up. And the pathway within our bodies and consciousness is the pathway of the tree of life, of the 12-dimensional tree of life. And this is again from experience, that when the time is right, this life force can travel through the 12 dimensions within us and actually awaken you to the realization that you exist in 12 dimensions, and that the 12th dimension within you is the connection to source. So all of this is a big mystery, and I say it is not limited to any specific person. It is within all of us. We are designed to actually experience this fullness of cosmic knowing and cosmic, really, multidimensionality within us, all within us. So that's why I think meditation is a wonderful tool, and once we get there, I don't think we need to meditate anymore, because once we get there and we activate this within us, it is alive, and we feel so alive, and we really just become like children again, connected to nature. So last night, Divine Mother said she really wanted me to speak about this, and this is the design of creation. The design of creation is that from one source, from oneness, we receive kind of the Trinity. And then we have the point in the middle, so that's one. And then we have two loops of creation. So it's 1, 2, 3. So that is the Holy Trinity, the way that Divine Mother explains this to me. And so, again, this is just how I received it. And I think it makes sense, but again, you might receive it differently, and other people might receive it differently, but hopefully this helps us here today. So from one source, which is kind of what we call the primordial source, we can also call it the origin, we can call it source, we can call it God, before God became God and Goddess. Before creation happened, and you can call it the Big Bang, you can call it the 0 point, many different names. But this is really important, because from one came two. And so that's how we talk about Divine Mother and Divine Father, the Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, about the yin and yang, about the light and dark, about time and space. So there's many different ways to speak about this. But this would be balanced creation. When we understand that really, if we want to fully comprehend this, we have to be in the middle. That's why I think the Buddha spoke about the middle path. The middle path is not a path of moderation, from what I can tell. It is the path of the core of creation, because we cannot understand creation if we are in, let's say, only the right wing. We cannot understand it if we are only in the left wing. We cannot understand it if we only go into time. We cannot understand it if we only go to space. We cannot understand it if we only go to the divine masculine or divine feminine. The only way for us to comprehend the wholeness of this is if we go to the middle. And the middle for us human beings, as you can imagine, when you spread your arms, you realize those are your wings, your right and left wing, the divine masculine, divine feminine within your physical body. What a sacred design we have here. But the heart, the sacred heart, is the middle. So from the heart, that's why I say Divine Mother does not communicate through logical brain, she communicates through the sacred heart. And when we are in the sacred heart, which we can call the Christ consciousness, you know, just to throw out all the different teachings we have, or to throw them in actually, to say, this is how it is done. We understand creation through the sacred heart, because then we embrace the right and left, the divine masculine, divine feminine. Now, years ago, and I think this was in 2006-07, I spent 2 weeks in deep meditation, and I highly recommend, if you ever have the opportunity to, you know, take a little retreat on your own and go into deep meditation with no speaking for as long as you can, and even no sleeping and just meditating if you can. And so after 2 weeks of deep meditation, something happened to my consciousness and my body. And suddenly my hands wanted to paint. And I'm not a painter at all. I've never actually painted until this event happened. And some people call it automatic drawing, automatic writing, and truly it was automatic. So my hands started to shake and I just wanted to grab a brush. So I quickly grabbed my daughter's brush and I took a bit of cardboard. This is actually on a cardboard. And this happened. This exactly without a plan. There was no plan. It just happened. So I allowed it to move the hand and I was in this kind of trance. And so looking at it today, I realized what it was. And it might remind you of exactly this, which is creation. It is cosmic creation of the divine feminine, divine masculine, and the stars behind it, you know, and the love that flows between the two. It is the love that holds it all together. It is the love within our hearts that actually, if we open the sacred heart through our spiritual work, this love will flood you. And that is the mystical experience of enlightenment. It is what I experience as where the heart opens up and I realize, wow, there is like a valve inside of us. There is a portal inside of us. And when it opens, then this floods in. So to me, this was like physics. Once the heart actually fully opens, suddenly we get flooded by the light of the mother, by the light of the father. And when this happened, I experienced this in August 2020, actually, at Mount Shasta. And it was during the Lion's Gate. And I think so many people actually experienced incredible things in 2020 during the Lion's Gate. So I say it never is limited to one or two. It is always offered to all of us. And so once this happened, this flow of magnetic light came rushing in. And these two flows met in the heart. And I realized that is the Shiva Shakti dancing. That is the Mother, Father, God coming together in the child. And that is really our destiny to, again, for all of us to reconnect Mother, Father, God within. I also found this very interesting. If you put it on the side, it will create the same shape, right? It's going to be the two trumpets of creation. And I found this very interesting when it comes to mystical physics, that actually it is spirit creating matter and them interacting with each other, and that it creates a vortex, and in the middle you have the 0 point, which again would be the Christ consciousness. So I'm more of a mystic than a scientist, but I love that this all is possible also to be explained scientifically. And so within us is the great mystery. And I worked again with an artist in Sri Lanka that has been kind of helping me a lot to create all the visuals. Whatever I see, I always ask him to create it. And this is what I have seen within this cosmos, within the earth. And that is something that I would call the yin and yang, as the rainbow serpent of creation, but also the rainbow of the serpent of darkness. And so this is really an ascension mystery, which is within us, and what's happening within us, that we are balancing on all of life force. And personally, I think the yin and yang is such an amazing, amazing explanation of this world. And I will show you this. This is what Divine Mother actually showed me. And it's kind of fun, because what happened in this world, as you can imagine, some of us went into the angelic camp and we disconnected from the fullness. Then the other camp, let's call them the little devils, went into the other camp and also disconnected from the fullness. And so suddenly you see they both are away from the core, from the center. And so neither of them can fully understand creation, but probably the angelic camp, locked up in one of the loops of creation, now thinks they must be right. And the other camp, the little devils, also must think that they have every right to be right. And yet neither really can be right, because to be right, you would have to be in the center. And so all the teachings bring us back to the center. And this might be confusing for you and me, because we often hear the word light worker, and that would mean very often, and I still use the word and I still use light worker, but it's important that light workers are not caught up in one loop, and that a light worker is the one in the middle, knowing both and knowing how creation was designed to be. Another way of thinking about it is the pendulum. So we had amazing mystics in this world, and they figured out something really important. As long as we go to one extreme, we are also creating the other extreme. And that the only way to truly create is from the still, motionless center, when the pendulum stops in the middle. Now, from all the teachings, I say, these are the important teachings. Connecting with nature. Nature is intelligent. We are cosmic beings. We need to be outside, connecting with the body of the earth and her cosmic intelligence. But this is for us to understand. And I'm going to grab some water, just a moment. So if you and me can understand this, then this world will be transformed instantaneously. Because I think this is the most misunderstood design of creation. Because very often we think that if we are in the angelic extreme, we are really good. But the thing is, it's like a rubber band. The more you would pull it to the left, the more it would shoot to the right. And it is like a pendulum. The more we swing to the left, the more it will have to swing to the right. But the key is to find the creation point in the middle, because otherwise this is always going to be happening. And so this is something I want to mention when it comes to war, which is happening in this world. We are not here to ignore it. We are not here in any way to support it, justify it, glorify it. We are not here to fight against it. And yet we are here to go into the heart and do something about it. Now, what do we do and how do we do it? Because it's really important for those of you who are interested to do something about it. We are here to face it and say, it is not an expression of love. It is not an expression of Divine Mother's intent. That's quite clear to all of us, hopefully. So how do we create? Now, this is the most incredible thing, and that is that the Mother, as the beautiful rainbow serpent of creation, arises in our hearts. And the presentation will be maybe at the most another 30 minutes. And I'm recording it. I know it's long, but I wanted to teach as much as possible today on this equinox, to speak it into the ethers. Divine Mother is a force that arises. She would like to arise in us. She would like to inspire us. She would like to rise in the hearts, and that is inspiration. Now, when we give her the opportunity to rise into our hearts, then we know what is right and how she wants the world to be. And there is such thing as the flow of the river. There is right. Right is the flow of the river. It always flows one way and not both ways. And so she would like to flow into more love, into an expansion. That's what she does. She doesn't want to kill. She wants to expand love. And so as we face the world, she wants us to give rise to her in our hearts, and then send that which has arisen in the heart into the world. And I bet you if we look at the world as is, and we focus in the heart, that she will give rise to peace. And that peace will not be the extreme of that one little angel here pulling, on the other side of the rope, but actually it will be in the middle. In the middle is where peace arises. And if we connect with the peace within the heart in the middle, Divine Mother will multiply it. This is what she does. She is a multiplying force, because nature is the ultimate multiplying force. Now, Divine Mother showed me specifically how this works. She says, if you ask, let's say I'm going to say and give an example. If you ask for peace in Ukraine, and you ask from the bottom of your heart, from the fullness of the Mother within you, she will multiply it so much that she will create peace in all worlds. If we ask for 10, she will give us 10,000. She multiplies everything that comes from the heart. And that's how it's done. I found that the Tao Te Ching, specifically translated by Stephen Mitchell, is the book of the Mother. And there are many different translations, so definitely take a note. These are the different versions that I found. You can get it as an audiobook as well. I highly recommend studying this translation. I have also other translations, but I don't think that other translations actually really translate the Mother so well. When you listen to the Tao Te Ching, I will also show you where it is free on YouTube, and we can listen to one verse together for a reason. So Stephen Mitchell is an amazing mystic meditator, and so he was able to fully, I would think, capture the essence of the Mother. You can say that the Tao is the Mother. You can say that the Tao is the Mother's life force. You can replace the word with her life force, the river of rainbow light. So every time you hear Tao, you can also say the Mother's intelligent flow, because she has that intelligence. So I will now play verse number 2 from the Tao Te Ching, translated and spoken by Stephen Mitchell. It's only 1 minute.
Two. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore the Master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess, acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever.
So this is really the amazing mystery in this small book with a few verses, so beautifully captured. And who can understand this mystery within this Tao Te Ching, but really this translation specifically understands the mother. So it is that being and non-being are really what we were looking at here and here, and they give rise to each other. But we just have to understand, like the Master, that first we need this to arise within us, and then it just happens. So it's not forced in anything, it's truly to be like a river. So this life force is within all of cosmos. And again, I worked with an artist to create this beautiful imagery. And this was given to me as a vision in 2008. And it is really our ascension process, which is rising in our beautiful energies and color and reconnecting the earth herself with all these cosmic events. And today, with equinox, all these cosmic events are actually inviting us back into the web of life. So one of the lessons, again, that really changed my life that I received from Divine Mother, and this was when she started to appear more as a voice or as a symbol and communicating. And I was doing this really long meditation and asking her, what is the most important thing I can ever do right now for my spiritual growth? And she said, start using your left hand. And I was thinking, wow, can this be the answer? And she appeared as the Om symbol in my third eye to deliver this message. And once again, wouldn't you think nature can have very simple answers? And I mean cosmic Mother Nature. So when you look at your left hand, and if you are not left-handed, your left hand is the hand of our cosmic mother. And because it was disconnected, right? Like most of us are actually right-handed in this world. So if you are left-handed, it's a great blessing. It is really the nature of the mother in the left hand. And so for those who are right-handed, she asked that we start using our left hand as much as possible. And I found a few things that are very easy to train yourself to do. If you have a computer and you use a mouse, always use your left hand to operate the mouse. It's very easy. Every time you drink water or whatever you drink, use left hand to drink. It's very easy to, coffee, water, whatever. It's very easy to drink with left hand. And if you eat with just a fork, it's very easy to train yourself to eat with left hand with just a fork. So those are the things that I found very easy. Now I thought, wow, why would you do that? How could this change anything? And it changed so much. When we give room to the mother to be in the body, she reconnects the subtle system of energies. And so what happens then, our body, our consciousness is restored to her flow. And so left-handed people are so much more creative as well. And many of our children, so if you have children, grandchildren, came left-handed or are coming actually left-handed. So it's pretty amazing. So very creative, absolutely, embodying the mother so beautifully. So this is one of the very important lessons. So we had, working with the earth, being left-handed if possible, studying the Tao Te Ching, creating from the heart. And if you are left-handed, well, you can practice using the right, but for me it was definitely using, she actually said the non-dominant hand. So for me that was the left. But also, if you know the prayer position, it's putting the flow of the energy actually together. So prayer position for meditation is really great. The next very important lesson I received was from this lady. Not specifically, but I bought this photo from Shutterstock to represent the mother as I met her once in the earth. So we were at Mount Shasta, actually specifically at Shasta Lake, and it's a portal. And so I was meditating outside and asking for a lot of guidance, and the guidance came in the middle of the night where Divine Mother knocked me out of my physical body into my etheric body, which she can do. And then in the etheric body, you travel with her. And we traveled into the earth herself, where she looked similar to this woman, very native, dark skin. And she spoke about forgiveness. And this is a lesson that maybe many of us can relate to. If there is anyone in this lifetime we have not forgiven to, it is actually blocking life force. And so it is really important, if there is anyone in this lifetime that we have not forgiven to forgive, but to do it very deeply. She said that not forgiving is a very big misunderstanding of how life works. Since we are all within one body, we need to all be liberated from within and from each other in a way, by liberating any life force that might have been used between us and others. And so forgiveness was the key. The same woman within the earth, I call her Gaia, she showed me this. And again, I always try to find artwork that kind of represents what I saw. She said, we live in a quantum field that is really a string field of rainbow light. And when there is, let's say, unforgiveness or something that we would today call war or an argument or whatever it is that does not honor life, it creates a hole or damage in this quantum field that we are part of. And she said the easiest thing we can do is to chant Om. And if only we could chant Om every day just for a little bit. And I found that chanting Om in the shower 3 times, the water will take the Om with her. As you know, water is so intelligent, and whatever you imprint her with, she will take with her. So if you can chant to water in the shower, then that water will travel through all the beautiful pipes and spread Om through this world. And so every day chanting Om is an amazing service to life. And especially these days, as we are seeing, things in the world that definitely create big damage to the quantum field, the service we can take on from the bottom of the heart and allow her to arise as chanting Om. And so every day, 3 Oms is all it would take to assist the world to everyday shift into higher frequencies. And I'm just going to go through the presentation. I don't want to keep you here too long. But the key to all that I've learned from Divine Mother is restoring the original blueprint, which is enlightenment, which is the rainbow body. And it is only in this state that we fully understand creation, because it's the flow of Divine Father, Divine Mother, Shakti, and Shiva through us, the child. So if this can flow, then we are in the flow of the rainbow serpent. We are in the awakened state of Kundalini. We are awakened aliveness. And really, we just go back to what it was like when we were a small child. So for most of us, we came here like this. And so we are in this amazing kind of evolution cycle that is constantly inviting us to return to this, to laugh, and also to cry if we need to cry. As you know, conscious crying is also an amazing service to Divine Mother. If we want to, never suppress your tears. The tears is always the Mother moving through you, and you might experience spontaneous awakening if only you let her cry through you. So not only this is the rainbow body, but it's also the flow of the elemental substance. So you are in a body that has elemental substance in it. And so this elemental substance is the substance of creation. But we also have this divine energy. That's why we are the marriage between the spirit and the body. And so within the body, we have the elemental substance, but this is our spirit. This is the design that was given to me also. And this is our 12-dimensional divine self. This is the 12 aspects of our divinity. And you start with the blue here, top right, and then you go to yellow, to pink, to crystal white, until you get back to the top where you have your beautiful opal. Opal to me, and also Yogananda, it was his favorite stone, was the stone that really embodies the divine so beautifully, because it shows you the fractalization of rainbow light. But this is our divine self-design, and we all have that within us, and actually it is no longer dormant. So we used to be pretty dormant, but this got awakened in us. And specifically in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, this is becoming so integrated into our consciousness that if only we can every day connect to this multidimensionality within us, we will experience our fullness. Our fullness is experienced when we experience the 12-dimensional being that we are in a body. So we are a combination of this and this in a way. And so every day I use meditations from Orin mainly. If anyone can put in the chat the website for orindaban.com, I highly recommend using their work to connect with the divine self. Those are beautiful meditations. Meditation is definitely how we go within. And so going within, we realize that within us is the tree of life. I experienced this when I was 13, and I realized that we are very, very large beings of very immense cosmic consciousness, and that somehow we fit into a human body. It was really very shocking to me when I saw how big we are and who we are, but I had to come back because I was told that we still have a journey to take. Thank you so much for putting it in the chat. And this journey, and this might not be the most exact depiction, but I was looking for something that would explain this from the Kabbalistic point of view. And again, this might not be exactly how this is, but within us is a pathway, and this is an important pathway. It goes from the little human here to our divine self. In a way, it is activating the tree within us. This is the tree of life, where you have the roots, you have yourself in the middle, and then you have your crown connecting you to other higher dimensions. And so the Kabbalah has definitely great explanation for this. And that is really important because we are designed to grow. Divine Mother always speaks of us as her apples. And you can see the design of an apple is actually a toroidal field. So this is an apple, the apple of life. And that's why I think the apple was to remind those humans in the Garden of Eden who they truly are. The apple was to remind them that they have a tree of life within them, and that they are not just human, but that they are divine. And that within the apple is the 5-pointed star. And that is the mystery. The mystery within the heart is the 5-pointed star. And that's why when Divine Mother speaks to us, she says, you are my apple, you are my fruit. And so this tree of life is really important. This is why we do the spiritual work that we do. So not only are we beings of nature, but when we connect to nature, we realize that nature has the mystical design. So one cannot be explained without the other and should not be disconnected. That's why we need to be mystical scientists anyway, but not the science that we know here on planet Earth, which is limited and, narrow-minded. This is cosmic science. So the cosmic science is the science of nature, nature as the mystery. And so we look for the design within the mystery. And the design is we are to grow. We are to expand, and this is how we expand. From the little seed at the bottom on earth, we expand to reach really microcosm, the macrocosm, so cosmic consciousness. It's pretty amazing And what it takes daily practice, it takes commitment, it takes dedication, but also it takes devotion. And that's why I would say a combination of dedication and devotion is a great combination. Cosmic Mother Nature is the mother of time. She is the weaver of time. She is also what our ancient people called the spider woman, the spider grandmother. And so, for those of you who participated in the harmonic convergence, you might have heard the name Jose Arguelles. And he was what I would say, an amazing mystic embodied in a human body, explaining cosmic time and cosmic cycles. And this is really important. And again, if you would be so kind, put his name in the chat so that everybody can look up the law of time and the cosmic and galactic calendar, because it's really important. And this is part of the big mystery. If I tell you about Divine Mother, I cannot explain her, thank you. I cannot explain her without explaining this. And he was not the only one. For example, Yogananda, again, my inner teacher, also had his teacher, and his teacher was Sri Yukteswar. And Sri Yukteswar, he wrote a book in like 1850, I think, but I'm not exactly sure, which was called The Holy Science. And the Holy Science is exactly what you see here. It's the explanation of the yugas. So here we have a combination of the Vedic and Mayan calendars, and that's because it's all the same thing. Divine Mother is cosmos herself. To comprehend cosmos and her body, we need to know her cycles. Just like if we want to understand our own body, we need to know the cycles that take place in the body to understand the body. We can also decide to completely ignore all cycles, and then we will never be prepared for anything. So if you can imagine a farmer on this planet, a farmer who observes nature needs to know when to plant a seed. A farmer needs to know when to harvest fruit, whatever. And so by understanding cycles, we are aligned with the intelligence, which is the ultimate intelligence, is the divine intelligence in all nature. Now, think about how big this piece is. Who does not understand cycles within the cosmic body cannot be ever prepared for what she is going to do next or doing now. And so we cannot take advantage of these cycles. And yet, all our ancient civilizations knew these cycles. These cycles can be as big as millions of years. And how did they know? They knew it because they meditated deeply with nature. So we had ancient civilizations, for example, in New Mexico, we have the Chaco Canyon, very mysterious site. No one can really fully explain it. And it is a site that was actually observing these galactic cycles, because only when the cycles align, like they are aligning now for us between the year 2012 and 2025, we can actually achieve something amazing. And that is by aligning with nature, which is cosmic, we can go through a quantum leap. And so right now, right here, we have been quantum leaping since 2012. And things got a little bit more intense for us and more exciting since 2019 specifically. And maybe you noticed that our bodies have been changing because of this change in the cycle. And so this is a cycle of liberation. It is really a cycle where our planet Earth and all her life get to evolve. And not just evolve a little bit, but to evolve a lot. So one way to describe ascension is that we are moving through this amazing window where cycles align. Now, Jose Arguelles also explained something that you will understand too from what we have been learning here, is that he described it as our civilization creating a field around the earth called technosphere. That means, kind of artificial intelligence. And then there is the other field, and that is the field of our mother, this field, the field that we know as biosphere. And he also had a term which was called noosphere, and that is really this rainbow body of the Tara. And Mother Earth told us she would like to restore her rainbow body, and that is what I believe that Jose called noosphere. And so this is the restoration of something so amazing. It is the restoration actually of nature on planet Earth, so that we can restore her in our hearts, in our own lives, and that she can restore her own planetary body. So you see, this all is a grand mystery, and it goes from you and me making a difference by restoring our own balance with nature in our body and also all around us, and helping others to understand that we need to absolutely maintain this relationship with nature, and that it is not just something poetic, but it's the key to the survival of humankind. And I tell you why. So what he called technosphere is, and I really like the way that he explains it too in his Cosmic Chronicles, Jose, but I know it from Divine Mother this way. She, I travel out of body, and when she takes me to different timelines, she takes me to the future and the past, she takes me to other dimensions. So when she recently took me, and I know that I mentioned it on our last call, but I find it more and more important looking at the world that we are in right now. I was taken into 4 different futures of the earth as an observer, so as a time traveler. And I traveled to 3 futures that all led to the complete destruction of the earth. And it always was humans disconnected from nature for some reasons, and there were a lot of details about why, but it doesn't matter. But every time humans disconnected from nature and from their own bodies, from the consciousness contained in nature, they ended up in war. And in war, of course, eventually they started using things like nuclear energy, and eventually destroyed not only each other and humanity, but also very much destroyed the earth. So those were 3 futures, and this was recently. And then I traveled into 1 future, which also I mentioned, and that was the most incredible, beautiful future where humans actually reconnected with nature. Very simple. And that was the only way for humanity to thrive. And I saw such beautiful things that you would call the new earth, where humans were thriving in this beautiful relationship. And so I would say the more we can do individually, the more we can affect the quantum field. And I'm going to show this picture, which is the picture that Patricia Cota Robles has as on her website. You can buy it as a poster, you can buy it as coasters to activate your water, which is what I've been doing and many of us have been doing. And this is the planetary grid that we are restoring. And you and me are within this grid. And so if you can shine, and I can shine, and all our brothers and sisters can shine, then this light can flow through us. And because we are here in human bodies, we actually specifically wanted to be here now, or we were actually allowed to be here now to do this restoration of the planetary grid, so that the earth can again have her beautiful rainbow body, so that she can rise and we can rise with her. And so because we are in those human bodies, if we go outside and connect our feet into this grid, guess what happens? This light flows through you and you are igniting the planetary grid. And once again, I say, if you not only want to support this work, but support more than anything the planetary grid, also you can assist with having the 33 codes, which is a book. And this book is designed specifically to actually allow the highest intensity of source energy to be as vortices around the world, to be reigniting this beautiful ancient planetary grid, which is ancient and which also is futuristic. And so definitely activating your water and having these coasters that Patricia sells, they are wonderful. I activate my water every day, and I think it also assists our bodies in changing. And then I want to thank everyone once again for doing such an amazing job with activating these 33 codes. Also, we sent a bunch of books to Eastern Europe, and I will be doing an event with you all, hopefully, where we will be bringing the energy of peace back to earth, the energy of the mother, and we will be using the book as we lay the book on the ground. And this is like working with, you know, an ancient crystal in a way. So every time you put the book, I travel with the book myself, and I just brought it here to this amazing portal today to Oregon and Washington, and have been activating world peace, but more work is to be done. And again, you can get the book from our website, greentara.guru. So thank you so very much for being here today, for absorbing this divine knowledge, and for sharing it with those like your children and families to be able to understand what is going on, that Divine Mother is here, that she needs us. And it is our really amazing honor to be the mystics for the Mother, to be devotional to her, and to maintain this knowledge in this world where so many have forgotten. So thank you for being here today. This work wouldn't be anything without you, so it really is you. Thank you.